Hey guys, how you doing? Well, I'm all right. I'm cold. Um, you know, for the past 4 years, we started hearing about how this skin pigmentation, the Caucasian skin pigmentation, white, is to be condemned as white supremacist. And if you're white, without any information about that individual, the left is left and media are identifying all people of this skin pigmentation as being a white supremacist. Okay. However, there's a mixed message, and they overlap. And there are two messages, okay? And they overlap to the extent of intense confusion, okay? Now, the first message is all conservative white people, or all conservative people, all conservatives are white supremacists, whether or not they have the same skin pigmentation as I do, or Kanye West, or what are now called people of color. Okay, I basically grew up with understanding of three separate skin pigmentations: mine, people of color, and Asians. And that was it. That was all I ever could identify visually just by appearance. We have the Caucasian, the white, we have the people of color or black, then we have Asians. Okay? Now, there are, of course, other countries and people of other countries. There are Indians. There are Egyptians. Okay? And they have they have different skin pigmentations, but it's not as noticeable to your average American. Okay, they are usually of the lesser popular, okay, skin pigmentations that we have. Okay, now my grandfather came from Russia. Okay, my great grandmother was a Russian. All right, and there was a pogrom, and my great grandmother Molly Zuckerman um, got all her children on a boat and sent them to America for a better life, so they do not fall victim of the pogroms. Okay. Now my grandfather, may he rest, looks just like um, anybody else. But I grew up thinking that skin color is unimportant. And when you have, and I don't know, or I don't remember what country my grandmother came from, on my mother's side. Then, of course, there was my father's side. So I'm from all different countries. But with the genetics, we still come out pretty much the same. White, Caucasian. Okay. I never, ever, ever gave it any thought, okay, until 4 years ago, when the media and the Democrats and the liberals and the far left started making a stink about Caucasians and whites. Okay, so they say that all conservatives are white supremacists, even people of color. They're white supremacists also, which makes absolutely no sense. All right, and then you have whites on the Democrat side. Say nothing bad about them. They're not white nationalists or white supremacists. They're Americans, okay? Loving, caring, compassionate Americans who believe in inclusion and so forth. And they're told that we don't. Which, unless you speak to us, we will contradict their narrative. Okay? And that's one message. Then you have the other message, which is all whites are bad. Okay? White shaming, teaching white children, conservative and liberals, to apologize for their whiteness. Okay? When you have a blanket directive like that, where all white children, conservative liberals, have to apologize for their whiteness, that confuses the other message of conservative white versus liberal white. Okay, so you have these two messages that are in conflict with each other. Okay, now, I kind of bring this up because I watched the movie last night. And if I did not know the movie was in Russian, I would not have even imagined that these were not Russian actors. They looked very American. They looked American. Now, these were overdubbed with American actors. Okay? So unless you were really paying attention, that what you heard did not match their lip movements, okay, you would not know it was overdubbed. Okay, they sounded American, they looked American. They sounded white, they acted white. They looked white. But then when you realize it, you said, these are Russian actors. But they don't look like Russian actors. They look like white people, American people. And that really turned me thinking. Okay, the former First Lady, she looks very white, very Caucasian, but she was obviously a legalized citizen, an immigrant from another country with a very strong foreign accent. Okay, but you take one look at her, she does not look like she comes from another country. She looks very American. She looks just as white as everybody else. And then I thought about some of the other people, other women that I've seen on these singles chats. Okay? And you see all these pictures of really pretty white women. And you don't realize they're from Colombia, from Mexico, from Russia, from the Ukraine. And blonde hair, blue eyes, they're white, they're beautiful. They look very American, they look white. But they're not. And then you look at these beautiful women, and then they open up their mouth, they start to talk, and then you realize they're speaking Spanish, they're speaking Russian, they're speaking Austrian, they're speaking French, Europe, they're speaking Eng- from UK, from Tom Jones. I'll give you that perfect example. I didn't know what Welsh was. He looked as white, as American as you and I, but he come from another country. So most of the countries that people live are basically Caucasian. They're all white. So if you are gonna condemn whites, okay, and you're gonna make people feel shame for whites. I'll give you another one. Australia. There were a couple of Australian movies that I saw. They were all Australian, and they all looked like me. And they were Australian. So it's, and Germans look like me. Okay, the French look like me. The Spanish look like me. Okay, the Russians look like me. The Australians look like me. Colombians look like me. Like I said, then they open their mouth, they speak Spanish, and they call themselves Latino. And I look at them and say, nope, they don't look Latino. They don't look Hispanic. They look just like me. My best friend, and he had a little darker hue than mine, but hey, my father looked a little dark also. But, and then he told me he was Puerto Rican. Freddie Prinze, here's another one. Tony Orlando. They all look Caucasian. They all look white. They all speak white. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And this whole narrative of you have to say it's okay to be white. Okay, then you would have to talk about, I mean, we're talking millions of people around the world, okay, that applies to. Okay, so it just, it's a message that is dangerous. It is disgusting. It is gross, and it's just, there's no rationale behind it. Because if you're going to send a message, and I'll tell you, the rest of the world listens to what comes out of this country. And if that message leaves this country, that you have to be ashamed for your whiteness, that we are talking about dozens of other countries that have to send this message to their populations. And the thing is that many of those countries, there are no alternate races, racial groups among them. And we are unique in that we are a melting pot of all peoples. All peoples. While basically Russians had Russians, Russia had Russians, Australia has Australians, Japanese have Japan is Japanese, and they all stay within their country. And there's no racial bigotry, there's no racial divide. everybody gets along, which is a message we have been saying for decades. And the first one to really make note of that was Martin Luther King. And he spoke about being in a world where they do not judge upon the color of their skin, by the conduct of their character. And I think Star Trek was the first to really espouse the notion that people from different communities can work together as one. One. All different. We have Uhura. We have Sulu, Chekhov, Spock. All working together as one cohesive unit. The dream of Star Trek is in jeopardy, where all could work together. No racial divide. And the racial divide and all division is coming from the left. It never came from Trump. It doesn't come from us. But we see everybody. They see white, black, conservative, that. Female, male, So, that's really all I want to talk about. That I see people. I'm colorblind. I see people. I see only people. People just like me. Just like me. They may look different. Some may have black hair, brown hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, hazel eyes. We're all people. Tall people, short people. We're all people. That's it. Bottom line, we're all people. Nothing to divide us. So there, all you people on the left, we are not trying to divide anybody. Because we don't care what religion you are. We don't care what skin color you are. We don't care what your political viewpoints are. Or your accent. We don't care about your accent. They were making fun of Melania's accent. How petty is that? Okay, and they're supposed to be inclusive? How can you claim to be inclusive when you're making fun of another person's accent? So right then and there. Okay. So anyway, that's it. That's pretty much all I want to say. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening in. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe and stay warm. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Take care. See you soon. Okay.